People come in my office all the time, and when we start talking and asking questions about what brought them in, one thing that comes up every 4 or 5 people is they say, that's just my arthritis. And that just every time makes me realize that doctors are not telling their patients what arthritis is or what it means, where it comes from, all this kind of stuff. So I want to make sure that I can express that to you so anyone who's ever been told you have arthritis knows what to do. So there are 3 main forms of arthritis. First one, most prominent, is what I deal with. It's called osteoarthritis. So all medical diagnoses are just Latin for English words. Dermatitis, if I irritate my skin and make it inflamed, derma is Latin for skin, itis is Latin for inflammation, okay? What I look for is why might it be inflamed, as opposed to saying, here's something for your skin inflammation. You go in, doc, arm's inflamed. Doc says, it's dermatitis. You say, oh, thank God. And they just give you some anti-inflammatory topical cream or something like that, or a pill to take, and the inflammation goes away, but no one ever knew why it was inflamed. Maybe it was friction. That's where osteoarthritis is involved. Osteoarthritis is the type of arthritis that you get in your hip, your knees, your spine, joints that are under pressure, repetitive stress, all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm good at. Some stuff I'm not good at. I do not treat rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, that's the second most common type. That's an autoimmune condition, and it's bilateral. So if you have it in this joint, you'll have it in this joint. Your body's mistakenly attacking, or should I say your immune system of your body is mistakenly detecting these joints as a foreign entity, much like when you hear people say he had a kidney transplant and his body rejected it. That's what's happening. The other most common type of arthritis is psoriatic arthritis, which is something, again, I do not deal with. That's a medical condition. I'm not a medical doctor, don't ever want to be. I don't prescribe medicine, I treat functional problems. So back to osteoarthritis. When you move and something grinds, you get friction and inflammation. Think of a callus. If you've ever known anybody that worked with their hands, if you create friction, your body responds to that by developing calluses. Callus is your body's response to friction and inflammation over time in the skin. In your joints, you get bone spurs. You get some osteoarthritic activity. Osteoarthritis in Latin. That's the Latin word. In English, bone joint inflammation. Osteoarthritis, bone joint inflamed. Why is it inflamed? In almost anyone we take a picture of, there's a misalignment. There's a functional movement. When you go to get up after being stationary for a while, you kind of, you feel stiff and you get moving. What's happening is your joints, like the calluses, are under friction, and they respond by making bone spurs, which after about 4 years on regular x-ray, you can see those spurs, and the disc starts to degenerate. You end up with disc bulges. The disc herniation, that's a traumatic event. A disc bulge, that's a degenerative condition. So when you have osteoarthritis, what it means is that when you go to move, your joints are creating some friction and inflammation. Inflammation, itis, of the joint, arth, made of bone, osteo. That's what happens. Now, when you go to the doc and they say you've got arthritis, the only solution at the family doctor's office is anti-inflammatories. And just let me ask you, that's okay. You can try that for a couple of weeks. But does it make sense that if you have something inflaming your skin, how many anti-inflammatory pills would it take for me to reduce that inflammatory callus production if I continue to create friction and inflammation? There's no amount. You got to find out what's happening. And if you create and get rid of that inflammation, then anti-inflammatories will work fantastic. But you know what? You wouldn't even need them because you're not creating the reason to develop a callus to begin with. So what I do is we do orthopedic tests, okay? We do the tests, we may take x-rays, we go looking for the reason. There has to be a reason for osteoarthritis, whether it be an old injury, repetitive stress, something of that nature. And essentially every time, maybe more like 92%, I can take an x-ray, you'll be able to see it. It's very easy, and you'll even see the reason you've got it. We get the joint moving, and it starts to glide. And when you live your life and you bend and twist and play with your kids, or work all day long, or drive to Nashville, the joint's not sitting there inflamed. And we get them moving. So it's not this, it's this. And this does not create inflammation-itis, whether it be in the skin, dermatitis, or in the joint, arthritis. And we get fantastic results. I can make arthritis in my finger right now. If I take a joint, give it a twist, and inflame it, arthritis. I just made it. Now, arthritis over time in the background develops those spurs and degenerative joint disorder, which eventually gets to the point where pressure and inflammation starts to affect the function of the joint, starts to give some pressure on pain-carrying nerves, nociceptors, and you end up in here. And that's what we do for osteoarthritis. And if you haven't tried chiropractic for this, particularly my office, and you're doing other kinds of more invasive treatments, pills, needles, surgeries, you're missing the boat. You're jumping right past what works the best and going into least successful, more expensive, more invasive treatments. So my advice to you is, if anyone's ever told you have arthritis, it is not something you have to live with. You will still have the osteoarthritic degenerative damage, but we can take those joints and get them functioning to slow down or stop further degenerative change by removing the reason for the degenerative change. And it works so good, some people don't even believe it. So come on by. I am here for you anytime you want. I hope that helps you understand what osteoarthritis is. And of course, we're here for you anytime you need. Thank you very much.